The next project we're going to be doing is a grocery bag, and there's one main difference between this pattern and our lower garment projects was that this one has a place on fold as opposed to a grain line all the way down that you'd have to keep parallel to that selvage edge. So when you are doing this grocery bag, do your best to make sure you have your fabric folded in half. When placing a pattern piece on the fold, you actually need to get right on that fold. That's not good enough. That's where you want it to be, where it just hugs the edge of the fold. Now that I have everything pinned, I'm going to cut out. Notice my pinning is very close to the edge. Pins are pointing toward the corners, and I've got lots of pins on my curved edges so that I can get that nice perfect. All right, so I've opened my bag up completely, and you'll notice I've got a lot of U's and half U's. The first thing I'm going to get all of you to do is to serge without sewing. Serge, serge, and serge. Do your best to lengthen your piece as you serge. So here's the big U on one of the parts of the grocery bag. What I'm going to do is I'm going to make it as straight as possible. And notice when I serge, I'm going to cut off just a fraction of a little bit. So I'm going to hold that. And as I come to the corner, I will have to manipulate my fabric a bit and turn it. But I do want to skim off just the smallest amount. Okay, I did it. I serged around all edges. Now that I've serged, I folded over the serging such a small amount. You can see there's the serging and there's a little piece of the green, and I've put my pins in. This pinning job is difficult. I'm going to show you. I'm folding over, grabbing a pin, and I'm going in a tiny bit and flipping. It is so small. I'll show you that again. So there's a little bit of green on top. There's my serging. I'm going to grab my pin. Watch how much I poke out. That much, and then I fold over. So I did it. I pinned. It was not fun. All the little flips and the pins, and notice that the green shows a tiny bit everywhere on this side. Tiny bit. The curves are going to be the hardest. I'm going to take it to my sewing machine. I am going to sew less than a 1/4 inch, and I'm going to sew on my good side so I could see if I'm making any mistakes. So you need to make sure your needle position is down, so when you stop, your needle is in there, and then I would move your needle over a little bit, 1 or 2 to the right, and you're keeping your edge of your fabric at the edge of the press. As I drive around my corner, I'm going to use my hand to manipulate that edge, but again, doing my best to keep that edge of the folded edge to the edge of the presser foot. I did it. I sewed all the way around, and you can see it's kind of pulling a little bit. I need to go and give this a good iron. Unfortunately, I have some serging that's rolling over onto the good side. Darn. And I had to do a double row of sewing because I didn't catch my serging. So just watch as you go, ensure that you're catching that backside. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to fold my bag again in half, and I'm going to match up the side seams and do my very best. Oh, I gotta trim all those threads to make sure I match up the tops, because that's what I'll see. And I'm going to match up my strap tops. That one too. So I have sew 5/8, sew 5/8, sew 5/8, and press open. Before we sew our side seams, what you should do if you are in seniors or in grade 10 and you've been with me before, is you're going to create a pocket or some unique application to your bag prior to sewing the seam. So I just sewed my tops of my straps and my sides, and now I am about to serge them. Seams are now sewn and the bottom is sewn and serged. I'm going to take this to the ironing board and make sure I press my seams open, and even on my straps, put that through the ironing board and press your straps down to one side. The unique feature about this grocery bag is that even though it feels it should be done, what we're going to do is we're going to fold our grocery bag in half. So we're going to bring one edge in half and the other edge in half, and you are going to sew all across the bottom right at top that sewing line again. So we'll do that, and then you're going to come all the way up. You'll fold your straps in half and you'll sew there and there as well. It's just about done. One small little feature is just right along in there. What I'm going to do is I'm going to press the seam to one side and just give it a little tack right down there. Another thing that you can do is you could take your sewing machine and just sew closed this little area right there. Go right over top of your stitch. So there's that little tack that I was showing you, and all it does is it holds down that seam. There you have it. It is an interesting shape of a bag, but this is a bag where you could put some big jugs of milk maybe in it, lots of heavy cans, and it'll hold on to it. Things that I'm looking for is that all your threads are clipped, your edges, wherever that side seam is nice and ironed. And for me, if I was to change this again, either I would double roll it over, and so it'd have a nice finished edge without having to see the serging. I kind of like that better. Or I would absolutely try to make my serging match a bit better because I could see kind of all of my mistakes, but that's okay. There is a grocery bag.